Are you worried about what is going on in our world today? Are you tired of sitting on the fence, watching from a distance and wishing that things could be different? Perhaps you are overwhelmed by the challenges of life or thinking of how to start up something to make ends meet or even overcome a habit? Then let's talk about it. Join the conversation with Kizzy Michi on Facebook at City Ride Magazine. Whatever your story is, let us have a conversation. To participate or sponsor, please call City Ride Magazine on 0803 2874 192. City Ride Magazine, telling the story the African way. Welcome to another beautiful episode of The Conversation, of course, City Ride Magazine, and my name is Michi. And today's episode, we have a very interesting topic that concerns the society. We are talking about sex education. At what age should kids be taught about sex in the family? But I won't be doing that alone, so stay with us after the break. Yes, welcome back. I'm glad you're still here with us. It's still City Ride Magazine, where we tell you the story the African way. And like I told you, that today's episode promises to be very exciting, educative, and interesting. Why am I saying this? You know, sex is usually a topic we seem to shy away from, but especially when it concerns the children. So we have our guest in the studio who is not a child when it comes to issues that concern society. She has seen it all. And we are talking about Chief Mrs. Onyemama. She's the Executive Director, Heroine Women Foundation. She's also the chairman, the subcommittee chairman of Enugu State on gender-based violence, welfare and support.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you here.
Thank you. The pleasure is all mine.
All right. To a layman, what is actually sex education?
All right. Okay. Thank you for having me, and it's always a pleasure each time I have a platform to share this knowledge, and it's one knowledge people should be keen on learning from. Sex education, in the common sense, is those rules, guidelines, principles, setups that is supposed to be relayed to a child from the ages of 2 years, at the minimum, till eternity. Sex education continues. It's not something that comes to stop at a particular age, because the society has really been thrown wild into a lot of sex activities. So sex education are those words that concern some of those private issues about a child from the ages of 2 down.
Okay, that's good, because I was about asking you at what age should sex education be taught to kids at home?
Yeah.
So if that's the case, we have, you said from 2 years upwards.
From 2 years. Yeah.
So, and he said it's a continuous process, which means it teaches them according to their level. Is it?
Yes. At the first instance, it was supposed to be from 9 years.
All right.
So, but when the society evolved, technology took over. We became a somewhat global village where even little children could easily access through your phone and go into some wild internet escapades that may wow you. So we brought it home and said, once the child starts speaking, you know, some children pick very early.
Yes,
they can even start speaking by 8 months. Like my child, she started speaking by 8 months. She started saying, "Mommy, yes, mommy, daddy, bobo, you know, give me, take." So she was that quick. Some children could start by 1 year. As fast as the child starts to decode communication, starts to send out signals, it's not improper for you to say it the way it is.
Okay.
So there's a language we say the way it is. You don't say vagina is ball and the penis is orange. You call vagina vagina, and then you call the penis the penis.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. You see, I like the way you put it. That you say it the way it is. Let them understand how and when someone, says something out there.
Yes.
But why does it seem to be a problem? Like a taboo when you talk about sex. Especially with some parents. When you talk about bring about sex education, it look as if you are saying something that shouldn't be said. So do you think we should still continue with that kind of mindset in this age?
Okay, so like I said, down history line, we evolved. Those days, you could even be scared yourself to talk about your private part before your parents.
Yeah.
Your parents will even feel a kind of a shy, even with their age, to call it to you.
Exactly.
All right? That was because we had this orthodox and a kind of parochial setting for ourselves. There was so much respect. There was so much order somehow. But as the time evolved, technology and digitalization swept all of us off our feet.
And a lot of people were ready for
it. We didn't see it coming. So people enveloped the internet very quickly and it became something else. So even when your child is watching an ordinary cartoon, you hear the white men spew words like fuck.
Yes, that's true.
Pussy. And so the child will be curious. Why? What is fuck? Pussy, So even without you trying to lead them on, they went further, asking questions, searching,
even to the wrong
exploring.
People.
You could imagine my daughter asking sometimes, why does this guy keep using pussy? Mommy, what is pussy? And I say, pussy is your vagina.
Oh, wow.
Because I'm an expert.
Yes.
And I don't have to meddle with words because we're trying to teach them.
Pussycat, and at the end of the day, she will.
That's what we used to say. And somebody will come and say, is your pussycat? Is it not pussycat? Will I have a pussycat? And she gets enveloped with that same kind of deception. So, but recently, we have started, we say it is. Say it the way it is. Don't mince words. Don't say it's umbrella. Don't say it's football. Tell them that even as we are saying these things the way they are, it is completely your private area. It is completely an invasion for someone to start telling you about it and for someone to touch it. So they now understand that this place is somewhat sacred and personal. It's not your personal topic. It is not your concern. It does not involve you. You don't need to help me clean it up.
Exactly.
So it's that education that we're trying to now embrace, even for the schools. Because initially our people thought it's about spirituality and religion.
Yes,
so
that's always the problem.
Yeah. So even when you go to the schools, after they pray, they tell you, please don't create a kind of wild thought for our children by saying this. And it was the same schools that started coming back to us to tell us to come and help.
I've come to notice that whenever we talk about sex education, we are only focusing on the girl child and leaving the boy's child vulnerable. And it looks as if they don't is it? I thought the sex education is supposed to be for both genders.
Yes.
So why does it seem like we focus more on the girl child? Is it because they seem to be more vulnerable or what?
Okay, so there are two factors here, right?
Yeah.
The society has labeled the male folk to look strong, even when they are not strong. So even when that guy it's abused or molested, he goes to the other boy at the side and say, this girl tried to touch my body. And the boy say, look at you, man up, are you not a man? Are you not ashamed? What are you going to complain to? Even statistics has proven that 1 in 5 boys have also been molested.
Yes.
But because it's underreported, because male chauvinism, and even from the home, they start telling you, don't cry, you're a man. So subconsciously, it dwells in the boy's sense.
That boys don't cry.
That you shouldn't cry, even when you should be the person crying more. Right? And the other side is because the girls are more vulnerable and also more fragile with handling cases. What would ordinarily make a guy recluse? A girl will start crying about it.
Yes, that's true.
And then it brings about attention. So everybody wants to listen. But the guy will want to be ruminating over it, trying to dissect it. Should I spill it out? Or should I
man up?
Man up and be a guy, and then they keep bottling it up. They keep bottling it up. Before you know, it becomes a mindset that works out. So when he sees any girl, he will say, I will molest this girl, I'll do to them what they did to me.
So what
I'll
you're
molest
saying,
another boy.
in other words, those things that weren't taught to them will come up as an after effect, after a carryover effect.
It's a kind of a culturalization, both from the family, from the school, even from the society. So from the family setting,
okay,
the boy child is already taught to
be
a man,
a Hercules.
Be a man, protect your sister. Even when he's older, even when the sister is older than him, he's being told, take care of your sister, you're the man. So inside him, he's a giant, he's a controller. And then the girl becomes all fragile because she's also being told, you're a girl. You're supposed to be soft, supposed to be, you know.
Okay, we're still talking about sex education amongst the kids. At what age should it be taught? And it seems like what you just explained. So do you think there are implications of avoiding such topics? You know, like you said, we used to be so bottled up that we didn't expect that this technology would come so fast, and I don't think we were ready for it. But now that it has come, and some people still find it difficult to discuss such things with their kids, what are the implications of those avoidance?
Okay, so the quickest effect is the children resort to peer pressure.
Okay.
And you know that there are tentacles, there are dividends of peer pressure, drug and substance abuse, prostitution. Some of them become self-made housewives without being married to somebody. There's a high cost for pregnancy, unwanted ones.
Yes.
There's another cost for abortion along the line where you don't want people to come into the picture. And that's because so much space was created from the family, which is supposed to be the core primary point of socialization. I mean, just like we pray in our houses, we also are supposed to have a forum for discussing what is happening in the lives of your children, whether good or bad.
And this is to avert some certain pressure,
yes.
peer pressures, you know, because I've come to realize that if you don't teach these kids, someone else will teach them.
Yes,
probably the wrong one.
Certainly.
So, and it comes back haunting us in the society. Now, would you say some of the challenges we face today in society could be as a result of this negligence on the side of our parents who avoid these sex education, sex topics, you know, because it seems sacred, and some who are more Catholic than the Pope will seem it's not religious. We shouldn't be talking about this. We should teach them how to pray. So don't you think while teaching them how to pray, we should also teach them how to live?
All right. So what are we going to say about a priest whose 9-year-old child came in pregnant because she started experiencing a menstrual cycle on time? So the very first point of reaction, she had to speak to one of the guys that was always a listening ear, and it was the same guy that got her pregnant at the age of 9. So are you telling me that at that age of 9 that the parents will not start talking about sex? Because already she came out with a visible picture, which is the cut in pregnancy.
And because she didn't know better.
She actually did not know better. The parents were too religious, too busy, and too ceremonious to bring it down. And so she had this uncle that was always a listening ear. They would beat her in school. It's uncle that would listen to her.
Oh. Okay, so it seems, like you said, there seems to be a gap. And that gap is causing a lot of problem in the later on in the future. So how can parents begin to understand that things have changed? What can you tell them, you know, in terms of it's time to educate your child?
All right, I'll share something I also do in my house. You see, you must have a deliberate discussion circle at home.
Okay.
And when you're having those discussions, please do not be a judge. Please do not react to whatever they say you didn't expect to hear. Because once you become a judge and you react to something they are ordinarily sharing out, that is the last time you will hear such things. So raise a discussion circle at home where you hear them tell you, this boy was after me in school, he actually bought me an ice cream and I devoured it. Okay. A boy will tell you, I'm having a crush on my classmates. I don't, is it okay? Sometimes I feel like butterflies inside. You, the mother and the father, don't overreact. Sometimes I wish I could just share myself into all the families in Enugu and tell them how to start running these things. Do not be judgmental of your children, because at a certain age, exploration and adventure starts. There is nothing you would do to stop it. It is just natural. But the way you present yourself to become their friend, at that point when those things start happening, is the much you can save the negative side of that story. Because it will definitely happen.
Yes, you're still talking to Chief Mrs. Onyinye Mama. We've been talking about sex education in families. There is no gainsaying the fact that it is time we went back to the drawing board and bring back those things we consider sacred and bring them back to the family to avoid future disasters. So, to you, our guest, how can we combat the moral decadence in the society now, especially in this era of technology, where kids now have access to gadgets without control?
All right, we are really going to work so hard because it's already a big one, and I think it has almost swept us all off our feet. We are going to have what we call joint effort at combating it.
Okay.
The schools need to sit up, the teachers, the family, which is a core point of socialization, need to be deliberate about looking into the kind of gadgets their children use. And I advise, if your child is still in the primary school, do not give that child a phone. If your child is in the secondary school, from SS1 to 3, you could give them a Nokia that is not an Android or an iPhone. Prevent the children from using gadgets that access the internet. And then the churches should remove religion from this fact and begin to also incorporate programs and seminars and workshops that address the use of phones, the use of global ideas that make these children go wild untaught. And then the families and us as individuals, and even you, the media, who is almost the most important when it comes to the use of radio, use of television, use of social media. Because I'm surprised that Facebook is supposed to ordinarily have a screening point, which is 18 and above. But I see 13, 12,
yes,
11 using Facebook. And so it means a lot. So most time all these people go on mute. Most time some of these Indian men send their private parts. These children
that's normal for them.
It's one topic I feel almost very emotional. The churches, the schools, the marketplaces, even the video clubs and the video shops. Mind what you give to underage children.
An area which the parents seem to be neglecting. Even these phones you get, they have parental control, but some don't apply those. So I think it's equally a good idea should parents adopt. That's if you must
parental guidance.
If you must get some of these gadgets, perhaps for school education or whatever, there should be parental control activated on them.
Yes.
Now that brings me back to the case of a child. We saw something online recently about a 13-year-old child who was on this, and people were saying the girl child was raped. You know, I was just watching. I didn't want to say much until the videos of escapades, activities on Likey became popular. Now, in this case, the mother came out, and we expected some kind of reaction, but she was a bit in denial about the whole thing. So in this case now, don't you think the parents are failing their duties these days?
Yes, I must say it's a lot of parents are so busy hunting money, and this money it's never enough.
It's never enough.
A lot of parents are even at home and their children stay in the sitting room watching things they cannot censor even for a second. And then the other version of the parents are the parents that put televisions for their children in their room so that they will not be disturbed in the sitting room. And a whole lot of drama is happening in their room, in their own children's room. And by the time you know it, they should be teaching you instead of you teaching them. I think it behoves a lot on diligence, discipline, and parents sitting up. God has bestowed those responsibilities into our hands and will not take it for granted. It's not something you say, I've worked out myself, I've been so busy, I'm trying to make money for you people. You also are responsible for the kind of children you bring out to the society.
Yes, however they turn out. No, because family is the first education point
of society. Yeah.
Now, that being said, knowing that you have years of experience in dealing with gender-based issues, and you've actually gone to the grassroots to understand and enlighten the people on how some of these things can be combated. Now, you are the executive director of Heroine Women Foundation, which I know is a gender-based foundation. What effort have you made in terms of enlightening the women, especially your members, about the importance of building the family first before the society?
It's so numerous, I can't count. You could also relate with the number of media appearances I have in so many times. There are times where I'm on the media, I'm on the publication newspapers, I go to the grassroots, we go to church. You could imagine where I have taught the whole 17 local governments, talking to at least 5 schools in each of the 17 local governments. I've been to churches, I work with the Office of Her Excellency. I know we swept almost all the schools within the metropolis teaching. And so there's so much happening. The problem is the people who listen. Do they listen for decoration, or are they listening to imbibe what is being taught? Let me tell you, if we become really, really tenacious and intentional about changing the status quo, we will achieve a lot. Because we've hunted money and nobody has money. So I think it's now time for us to hunt the kids and at least say we have good children when we don't have money.
Yes, right? Because I think we should be more worried about, I hear people say, what kind of world are we living for our children? I think we should be more worried now, what kind of children are we living for the world?
Oh my God.
So, that being said, how can the government or well-meaning individuals, contribute their own quota into this sex sensitization, which is very important?
Yes, okay. It's not like praise, but I would say that this government is doing a lot. There was a certain period of time where PPSMB had me as their consultant, talking to children and parents. There was a section where it was just school teachers and parents alone. There was a section where it was just parents and school heads from the villages. So a lot is happening. A lot is happening, and
but we still need to do more, right?
That's why I said we won't relent.
I would like to have you on some other time. Let's talk about these other issues. Okay. But before then, what advice do you have for these parents who are too busy to look after the kids?
Our dear parents, I have a lot of words rolling in my head, but let me just drop this with you. If you end up being rich and you end up having a name, but you lose in your family, you have gained nothing.
Yes, it's still the conversation with City Ride Magazine, and of course my name is Kizzy Michi. We'll bring you more of this interesting topic that concerns the society soon and more often. And to be updated, just follow us on our social media platform so that you'll be the first to know when we bring up good topics. And if you want to partner with us, there are numbers showing right now on your screen. Please do well to call for sponsorship, for partnership, and also participation. Till then, we tell you the story the African way.